Okay, so welcome to the open source development course that we are going to do now in the next 13 weeks. There's only one person right now here, but probably there are going to be a lot of other people watching the videos. There are a couple of people who are registered to the course. My name is Gabor Szabó, and we are going to have the course is going to take 13 weeks, and we are going to have more or less 2 hours sessions, with a break in the middle every week, and then you're going to get some assignments to do in your spare time or whenever you have time. They are going to be at the beginning. We are going to work on various projects that I maintain, I control, because that's going to be much easier to give response to that, and it's going to be much faster. And then after a couple of weeks, and you're going to also work on your own project. And after a couple of weeks, we're going to find some other open source projects where you can contribute. Of course, the problem with other projects is that the maintainer, the person who is controlling that project, might not be available for response. The person might be on vacation, or that can happen. The person might have abandoned the whole project at all, and you will never get a response. We're trying to find projects that are being maintained to get feedback, because well, working on open source projects and then not getting feedback and not getting integrated is not really a fun thing. So let me share the screen and show you. Yeah, it's my terminal. Good. That's not what I wanted to show. Okay, so we're going to have a GitHub repository for the project itself, for the course itself. And in this repository, I'm going to show you a couple of things. I'm going to put here the notes. So both the plans. Right now, I put here the plans for the first day, for the first meeting. But it's going to be updated depending on the questions and what parts we can cover. So this information is going to be in this Git repository. The link is in our Slack channel, and I also sent it to you. And we just got another person joining us. So hi. So we have this Git repository, and I'm going to go over this. We don't have really slides for the course. And most of the course I'm going to show you things, doing things. So that's also not really good with slides. You're going to also send pull requests. So we're going to change this repository. In this folder, there's a JSON file describing me, basically, some information about me. And the first assignment is going to be to create such a file in the participants folder for each one of you. So each person will create. And using this information, we are going to generate, this way, okay. Using this information, there's a site is being generated, okay, which is linked from here. And I think it's also, I sent the link to this website. So if I click on this link, you will see this website. Right now is just me there because there's no other people yet. And I'm working on this website as I'm teaching the same course for some other people in Hebrew. So this is a separate course. And while I'm teaching this, I'm also working on the website, which is generated from the same type of data. There's a single script that basically generates this website. So you'll see the list of participants here. You will publish articles, so that's going to be part of the course, that you're going to write blog posts, basically, or call it journal entries, or whatever you'd like to call, to take notes, basically. Just think about it that you're taking notes as you would in any course, and you can put these notes in a public blog post, and then one of the one of the things that you're going to do as part of the course basically is including the links to these blog posts in the JSON file that I mentioned. So and then it will show up here. So in this website, we're going to collect the work of all the people who are participating in the course, and at the end of the course, it will each person is going to have their own web sort of page that lists all the articles they wrote, all the changes they made, all the pull requests they sent. So basically, you can show that you can see and show what you did in the course. Okay. Actually, I can show. I can use this. I can show. There is this other course that I'm working, and there is some bugs. So there's a reason that I just noticed that the pictures are not showing. I just noticed it today. I'll have to figure it out why, what happened. There should be pictures here of each person, and then you can see the articles here. So there's some issue there, and each person have their own website already that they built during the course. So this is the website that is going to be created based on the data. So what are we going to cover in this course? When you saw the syllabus, basically we're going to learn about, and not in exactly this order, we're going to learn about Git and GitHub, and maybe we'll look at GitLab for a little bit, but primarily we are focusing at GitHub. There are many similarities with GitLab. We are going to see Markdown little bit. We're going to talk about Docker. We are going to talk about testing, talk and practice. So everything is talking and practicing. Okay. Static analysis of code. We're going to use Slack, which is not open source. So most of these things are open source, but except of GitHub and Slack. But we are using GitHub because that's the most popular website for this for open source projects, and we are using Slack because that's what is used by many corporations, and it's a good thing to practice, to get used to using Slack. Well, maybe you're using different things, and we can take a look if in your organizations you're doing other things, then we can maybe try out other things as well for this quick communication. That could be interesting. So this is the course. There's a link to the website of the OSDC course with all the information. Few words about myself. So as you know, my name is Gabor Szabó. I am self-employed since 2000, basically. I worked at a couple of companies beforehand, and as a self-employed, I do a lot of training. Used to teach a lot of Perl courses. In the recent years, it's almost no Perl courses. So I'm mostly teaching Python as the programming language that are requested by the clients. I also teach version control. These years is Git, basically, and a couple of other things in this area. And in addition to that, I do contract or consulting work, depending on how would you like to call it, basically helping companies to introduce, to improve their development practices. That's the short definition of it. But basically, I introduce testing, I introduce continuous integration, and best practices or some good practices in using version control. So these are the things that introduce. And some places, surprisingly, still, or some teams in some organizations don't use version control even today. So they need even that training, or they don't use it in a good way. Okay. So basically, that's about me. This course is well, in a way, it's interesting because it's basically the second time I'm teaching this course. The first time is the other one that I showed you. I taught part of this course in various in various meetup meetings, but they were usually only 1-2 hours, and we didn't have a continuation of this. So I hope that we can. I'm sure that we are going to get a lot of things done in this course this way. one request is that if you're sending me an email, please keep the subject line as it is, so it has the name of the course that as we exchanged over the email, because I have the other people. I'm going to teach two or three other courses in the next 2 months, and not just these other courses. So many students are going to send me emails, and this will make it much easier to know from which course people are. Okay, the assignments are going to be primarily GitHub, maybe GitLab repositories, if this is what we find. But my statistic that I see shows that in general, most of the open source projects, but specifically most of the Perl projects are on GitHub and not many on GitLab. So it's most likely that we're using that GitHub. At the end of each session, you're going to get assignment. Okay, and one of the things is what I mentioned, that you're requested to write some notes about it in a blog post and a journal entry. And why is it a good idea to write these journal entries, you might ask? There are a couple of things that somewhere I put it somewhere, I don't know, maybe it's another page, the notes for this. So every time I explain something, I learn a lot more than when I was trying to do it. That's because when I try to explain, even to myself, but even on a paper, but especially if I actually talk to people, then I have to think about in a more abstract way. And every time I encounter things that I didn't think about when I was, let's say, implementing some code or doing some work. And sometimes it said, okay, well, I just put, let's say in the Perl example, I just put this use strict here because I saw it everywhere, which is what we call cargo culture, right? And without really understanding it. But when I explain it to someone, then I'll have to, either that person is going to ask me, or I just have to think about it. Why do I do this? So that's a very useful for your learning. It's also I encountered many cases where I solved some problem, a configuration thing or something that was difficult, and well, I wrote down my solution and published it on an article. And a year or 2 years later, when I encountered the same problem, obviously I didn't even remember that I solved it. It's not just how. But even the thing that I encountered this, I haven't. But I searched on the internet and I found my own explanation. So it was really nice, and it was written quite well, at least the way I like understanding things. So that's one of the really good things when I take these notes and make them public, because it's everything is there, okay, on my website. So this is this. You will also add this link to your blog post, to this JSON file we are working on. As I mentioned, the first assignments are going to be my own project, and then we'll go later on with other people's. Another note that I wanted to just emphasize is that this course is, okay, at the end, the more you practice within the course, the more value we're going to get out of this course. And the course is both the presentation, but during the week or between the presentation, I am on the Slack channel. I am answering questions there. If you are opening issues on the repository or making pull requests, I am giving you feedback. So it's not just the 2 hours when I'm trying to help you. It's during all the rest of the time. Okay, so ask questions and try to help other people as well in the course. Because again, when you're trying to explain to someone, you learn a lot more with that. Grades, you don't get grades. Okay, this is not a university course now. Okay, version control. So I don't know, actually. Yeah, Yeah, I asked this in the question, how if you're familiar with GitHub, and all of you are at least familiar with GitHub. Some of them are, some of you know quite well. So there's no real question of why you use version control, probably for you. But many people actually that I teach, they don't really, let's say biologists in the university, they don't really understand why they need version control. And the way I explain to them is that basically everybody's using version control, even if they're not using Git, because every person is going to create a file and then save it as 0, 1, 2, 3, create copies of these files, or maybe create a folder with numbers or dates. So basically they are using some version control, a homemade version control with all kind of bad things, okay? So Git is basically this, and here you have links to Wikipedia. I don't know if any of you edited Wikipedia. I recorded it in 3 languages, so in English, Hebrew, and this is in Spanish, on how to edit Wikipedia page. The reason I mentioned this, okay, let's go and see it. So EN Wikipedia wiki, let's say Perl, okay? So if you are here, so on every page you can see the history. So this is basically version control behind every page, and you can see exactly who changed and what changed, and you can, and one of the values here is obviously that you can restore an earlier version if someone was trying to ruin the page, okay, which used to happen quite a lot. I don't know what's going on these days, but it's super easy to see what happened and restore an earlier version. Anyway, that's not really the important part for us, but that's just to show you an area where non-programmers are also using basically version control behind the scenes. Okay, so now we are going to see the first day, okay, today we are going to see how to contribute to an open source project using only the UI of GitHub, not anything on your computer, on my computer, just with the browser, okay? And I'll explain the flow there, and then later on we'll learn how to use, we'll go over how to use Git for your own project, with your own project in GitHub, and then we'll put together the two and work on someone else project, but on your computer, okay? So let me try to show you. Okay, so here is this project, okay? And this is, let me go over the files here. So this is just a metadata file where I store the name, the title of the project, and the ID and whatever, and the start date. So I'm going to add the end date, so it will be I will know what changes people made to other repositories between those dates. The README file is this file, and then the mentors. So this is the JSON file about myself. This looks the key value pairs. I assume that you know JSON. If no, so okay. So stop me if you have any questions. Okay, I didn't say it earlier. Stop me if you have any questions. Talk to me, whatever. Okay. If I made assumptions that you know about something and you don't know, raise your hand or talk. Okay. So this is a JSON file, key value pairs, and I have my name, my ID in LinkedIn. So if you go to LinkedIn IN/subgov, basically everywhere my user ID is subgov, so it's not that difficult. But so this is how you get to my page on LinkedIn. Okay. And on GitHub, this is my user ID, and on GitLab too. And on Dev2, and I'm going to show you Dev2 in a second. And here is another key with a list of URLs, okay, of the blog posts. Okay, so this is where you're going to put your blog posts. Okay, and so the first task is going to be to create such a file in the participants folder. So now I'm going to show you how you can do this on the UI. But here in this browser, you can see that I am logged in as SubGov. So it's me. I have full control of this repository. None of you, no one else actually, has any write access to this repository. So if you own a repository, only you can write it. Of course, you can give write access to other people if you really want, but usually people don't do this. Usually your own project, you only have write access. Other people can only read the content and send you a request to integrate some changes they made. This is what they call pull request in GitHub and merge request in GitLab. This is the same thing, different names. Okay, so I'm going to switch to another browser. I'm going to switch to Chrome now, where I'm also logged in already to GitHub. But as you can see, my username here is cmdemo. So this user, and I'm looking at the same repository right now. Okay, so this user doesn't have any rights on this repository, just as you don't have. Okay, so now I'm going to show with this user how can you contribute to this project. So what basically you need to do now is create a file in this folder, and there is this button to create a new file. Okay, and it's a little bit confusing, I think, because in reality you can't create a file in this repository owned by this user. Okay, let me say just one more note about this, because my own personal account, GitHub SubGov, this is my own personal account. So as I mentioned, okay, but every person can create what GitHub calls organizations. So I created an organization called OSDC-code-maven. Okay, so all the repositories related to this course are going to be in this organization, and it helps me, well, organize the repositories, but it also, these organizations also allow you to give access to different people in a different way than you would be able to do on your own projects that are in your own space. Okay, so for example, I don't know, whatever, this is the source code of the Perl Maven website. Okay, so you can see it github.com/subgov/perlmaven.com. Okay, because this is in my own space, and this one is in the OSDC-code-maven space. This is a separate organization specifically for this course. Okay, so back to the point that I have like a slight personal problem. I have two selves. Okay, so this self, the cmdemo self, doesn't have write access here, but there is this possibility to create a file. In reality, what will happen if I try to add the file, GitHub will automatically create a fork of this project. So instead of doing that, I'm going to do the forking first, so to make it clear. So what happens is that I, as the user, again, as any user, can click on this button fork, and it will create, so you can see that right now we are on the OSDC-code-maven and the name of the repository. When I click on fork, it offers me to create a fork in my space, in the cmdemo namespace. Okay, maybe the cmdemo, this also has the cmdemo is part of another organization, so that doesn't matter for now. So I can create a fork. Okay, so this is basically, it offers the same name but in a different namespace, let's say. Okay, and I click on the button to create a fork. Basically, a fork is, think about a fork of when you're not the fork that you're eating with, but the fork when you're hiking and the road splits. That's the idea in this fork. Okay, That's why it's called fork, because originally this word was used before GitHub started to use it. The idea of forking was that you have an open source project that goes ahead, and then some people are not really satisfied with the way it's moving forward, and they split out, create a fork of the project, and start going on a slightly different path of this project. And one of the main values of open source is the possibility of doing this. Okay, it's actually rarely done because people prefer to work together, but sometimes it does happen that two groups of people split up, and then one basically is continuing the same project, the other one is continuing the same project under a different name, and we call it a fork. Okay, so the same idea was taken by GitHub, and they're using the same word when you say that, okay, I create a copy of this repository inside my own namespace. So now you can see that the URL here, I don't know how much you can see it because it's so small, but the URL here is github.com/cmdemo and /name of the repository. So basically the same thing here. And it also says that it's forked from. Now, the original meaning of the forking was usually what is it called in English? An unfriendly fork, unfriendly forking. So it means that you split the project, and because you were arguing and couldn't get to an agreement. These days, this fork is usually meant with the idea that I'm going to make some changes and send it to you to be integrated in the project. So it's a friendly fork usually. Okay, so they use the same word with at the end a slightly different meaning. Okay, go ahead, Darren. You're raising your head. I guess you're.
I am. I was just going to ask: does the fork contain all of the history, or only the currently pushed branch of production? Sort of.
I think it just asked me when I clicked on the fork. I think it asked me which one if I want to only.
I apologize. I didn't see that.
I never cared about this actually. Okay.
Right.
It actually only copied the main branch or something that I have, but this is also relatively I think new, because originally I think it just copied the whole thing, and maybe it's just some kind of optimization so you won't copy the whole history. Okay, but actually we can try. Let me try to go to. So I open another tab and go to github.com subgob. Let's go to perlmaven.com. Okay, let's try this and create a fork of this one. Okay, so I click on this fork, and it offers me copy the main branch only.
Right.
Okay, so this I guess if you uncheck this, then it will copy the whole thing, and with this only copies the main branch.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I never tried to remove that checkbox. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so now we have this fork, okay? And here we can actually really make changes. So what I said earlier, that on the other repository, there was the possibility to create add the file. But in reality, what it would do, it would create the fork and add the file on my fork, okay? And but I think it might be easier to understand that we do this forking, and then we can start creating the file. Okay, so now I'm going to create a file, create a new file, and I have to type in participants. Okay, I don't know how to write it. Participants. Right? Yeah, okay. And here I name the file, and my request is that each one of you call the file exactly the same way as your user ID in GitHub. So it can be it can be easily identified. So it's my username is cmdemo, and then the name of the file is JSON. Okay, so this is the file that I'm going to create, and here I can type in the content of the file. Now I don't know how to do this. easily. So not reload, this is not what I wanted. I wanted to open a new tab. So I'm just going to cheat now and going to back to the website again. So it's the CM demo Perl. Okay, this is our project. And I'm going to look at what Gabor has. Okay, and I'm just going to copy this one. Okay, I can actually even click on the row, so it won't have any of the special highlighting, and I can copy from here. Okay, and paste it. And obviously, I would like to update this, so it won't be the same content. So it's called CM demo. That's my name here, and I don't have a LinkedIn, and my GitHub is CM demo, and I don't have a GitLab. And I don't have a dev2, and I don't have any posts yet. Okay, so far is good, right? So now I have a new file, and I would like to commit the changes to my repository. But actually, I made a mistake. So we'll have to get back to one step, go back one step. Because what you can see here, and I'm happy that I just noticed the mistake. So as you can see, the changes I started to make is in the main branch, but that's not what we would like to do. We would like to create a branch in our copy of this repository and make the changes there. So I'll copy this, so I won't lose my changes, and I click on cancel changes. Okay, because that's what I wanted to do, not what I wanted to do. First, I wanted to create a branch, and you can see that here is the only branch we have is the main branch now. But you can here, I think, where is it? Oh, if you can click on the branch link here, that's one of the ways to create a branch on the website. And here you can say new branch. The name of the branch doesn't really matter, but usually it's good that it has some meaningful name. Okay, so you might call it adding JSON, okay, or whatever name you would like to give. So now I've created a branch in my project. It's basically, if you would like to understand what a branch is, basically you have a history in Git, and a branch is just a pointer to one of the commits. It's nothing else. So now I have two pointers, the main pointer and this new pointer, which is called, what was the name? Whatever I name, adding JSON. They point to the same commit. Okay, and you can decide on which branch you are and on which branch you commit your change. And what Git will do is, after it committed the change, it will move this pointer forward to the new commit. That's the whole story about branching in Git. And the other pointer will remain in the same place. Okay, so now I go to back to the code. I don't exactly know how else to do this. Okay, I switch to the newly created branch, and now I start again this adding file process that I did earlier. Okay, so here I type in participants and cmdemo.json. It remembers that I already tried to edit, and I paste back whatever I copied earlier. Okay, and now it says that it's in the adding JSON branch. And so now I'm going to commit, and it's going to be added to this branch. Here is that's the commit message. Okay, so you can leave it empty. You can explain adding cmdemo.json. This is obvious. Usually what we do here is try to explain what we did, why did we do it. If we have a bug report and now we are or a feature request that has a number, then we're going to refer to it in this message. Here we can have more explanations, and here it says commit directly to this branch. So I guess actually I could have continued with the main, and I could have asked here to create a branch. Okay, Well, GitHub provides several ways to solve this problem, apparently. Okay, so now I'm committing this file. So what happened is now I committed this file in my repository. The original author, okay, in the original process doesn't really know about this. I mean, that person can check that there is this fork and then can check that there are some changes, but so far the changes are only in the repository of this CM demo. And now comes the story of the pull request. So now the CM demo is going to ask the original author of this project to take this change and integrate into the main branch of the original repository. How do I do this? So this can be also done in several ways. So now if I click on the code, it automatically offers me this sending of pull request. Now, sometimes it doesn't do it, and I still haven't understood when does it offer to send the pull request and when do I need to do it manually. But now we are lucky, and it says compare and send pull request. So now the CM demo user is going to ask the other person, and here you have the more details. So here it says that from the CM demo slash, let me try to enlarge this, CM demo slash this project, in the branch, in the adding JSON branch, from here, I'm sending, so there's an arrow to the left, to the repository, the original repository, main branch. So I'm asking, the CM demo is asking the owner of this original repository to integrate this change into the main repository. And here too, I can give more explanations. So why do we have these two levels? Theoretically, there could be several commits. And then I send only the pull request, okay? If this is a bigger change, then maybe you make a couple of changes and only at the end you're sending the pull request. So it might need to summarize all the commits that you had. So each commit has its own explanation, and at the end, the whole pull request has its own. It already offered me this, and it's fine. Fine is me, and I click to create the pull request. Okay, so now what happens? If it's just a project, well, I switch back to my own user, and here you can see, I refresh the page, and you can see that there is a pull request here. So me, I'm meaning SubGab, this is the real owner of the project, can see that there is a pull request here. Okay, I can look at the pull request. I can there's going to be a conversation here. I can look at the commits that were included in this pull request. Right now, there's only one commit. I can actually look at the files that were changed. Okay, and this green, and right now it means that this content was added. I can comment on this. I will talk about this later. Or I can click on this button to merge the pull request. Okay. Now, in this project, I already have set up continuous integration. That one of the things that the continuous integration does is checks whether the JSON file has the correct format. Okay. And the other thing that the continuous integration does, it creates the website that I showed you from this data. Okay. When the first time you're trying to contribute to a project, the owner must approve it, the running of the continuous integration on your pull request. Later on, this will be automatic, but the first time when CM demo sent me this pull request, I need to decide how much I trust this person. After all, some code will be executed now, right? When I click on this button, it's executed on the servers on GitHub, so it's not a huge security issue. But maybe I don't trust that person, so maybe I don't want to run their code. I mean, they might have sent me new code that's running on that server, which might do all kind of bad things. So I need to at least approve that I trust this person. So I click here, and this will kick off the running of the continuous integration system. Now, while it's running, let me show you in the code. It's in this folder, in the GitHub/workflows folder. That's the definition of the continuous integration, what we call GitHub Actions. Okay, we're going to talk about it later on, the details. I just wanted to show you that it exists in this project, and it checks, verifies the correctness of this JSON file. Let me go back to the pull request, and you can see it now has a red X on it. I don't know if you can see it's red, but it is, okay, and it's X. It means that this continuous integration failed. So let's look at it. What happened? I think you can click on the X also, but here you can see and look at the details. Okay, so there was some code and it was running and it failed. Okay, and this is the error message. Now, this is not a very user-friendly error message. It's also some Python code. But at the end, it says something about the JSON decoder error, expecting property name enclosed in double quotes, blah, blah, blah. It's a very useless error message, actually. But or meaning the only useful part is that it's on line 4 that the error is. And so the owner of the project can see it. My other self, CM demo, can also look at the pull request and can also see this. Okay, so now, even without the owner being involved, I, as the contributor, can see that something was wrong. Okay, and I can see exactly the same details. So now I can go back to the files I changed. Actually, I have to go back to the code, I think. This is the way. I go back to the branch. Sorry, wrong place. I have to go back to my fork. Okay, so I go back to my fork. This is how I go back to my fork. This is in the CM demo. Okay, I go back to my branch. I have to fix it now. Okay, and I go back to, in the participants, there is the CM demo JSON. So line 4 is this, and people who know JSON notice that there is an extra comma here, which is okay is in Perl, it's okay in Python, it's not okay in JSON. Okay, and I left it deliberately so we can show that it fails. Okay, so I go ahead now, click on the edit button, remove that comma at the end, say, okay, fix typo, let's say, whatever, some explanation, commit directly to the same branch, okay, that I already had, because this is the continuation of the same change that I made. So I'm not just fixing my original, it wasn't integrated, it's not done yet. So I keep working on the same branch. So I commit the change. Now, this commit is automatically updates the pull request. So I don't have to do anything else. If I go back to, well, let's say as the CM demo user, if I go back to the repository, the original repository, click on the pull requests and on my pull request, you can see now that both commits are here. Okay, and the first one has the X. The second one is, well, it's waiting for approval. So because my pull request hasn't been accepted yet, the owner still needs to update again and again. Approve again and again. So now I go back to my usual self. And this pop-up is, I don't know where it comes from, but it happens. So I go back to this pull request and I have to approve it again. Okay, this is the owner of the project has to approve. I think I'll have to approve as long as I haven't accepted a pull request from that user. And from that point on, the new pull request will automatically run. Maybe this can be configured actually, but well, okay, so okay, so now I approved it, and you can see that it has this well, strange color. Let's call it yellow. This means that it's running, okay, that the CI is running at some level. So maybe it's waiting for it to start running, or it's already running, and so on. You can actually look at the details while it's running. Well, but it's already done. So okay, it's very fast this time. Okay, so it's green. Okay, so I can see it's in that. I mean, I am subgub here, so I can see it's green. So it passed the tests basically. Okay, the verification process. If I switch back to CM demo can see it. Okay, so that's it. Okay, and at this point, I switch back to Gabor, and now I can go, and I'm showing now the other side. So what Gabor does, what the owner does, sorry. So the owner can at this point say, comment. I mean, the owner can comment on the pull request. Let's say I can come here and let me just show this one. So I can come here and say, okay, now I only have positive things to say. Earlier I could have commented that the comma is there, but okay, so I can add a single comment to that line. Okay, and this that the owner made this comment will I think it will also generate an email to the CM demo, to the person who sent the pull request. And then that person can look at this comment and do something. Okay, so it might be that you send me a pull request, it passed all the verification, but let's say I prefer lowercase variable names and not uppercase ones. So I will comment you and tell you, okay, please change the name of your function or whatever, of the variable. Okay, so there can be a ping pong between the person who contributes the code and the person or people who maintain the code. And at one point, let's say they get to the agreement, okay, and decide that I would like to merge this pull request. So I can come here, I as the owner of the project, okay, and click on merge pull request. And here I have a couple of options. I usually like to squash and merge, but it depends. So there are a couple of ways to merge the pull request. I do this usually, and squash and merge, and then confirm, and I can put some comments here. And now this change was integrated into the main branch. Okay, so if I go now to the main branch of that host that's on of the original owner, and I go to participants, the file is already here. And I can also see that the action is running. Actually, it's waiting. Okay, it's queued. So because there was a merge, there is a new event, and the GitHub actions, so the CI system basically, starts running again. And the way it's configured, that when it's sent, when someone sends a pull request, it only verifies the JSON files. When it's merged, then it also updates the website. Okay, so now that it's done, if we go back to the website, then hopefully there is going to be the logo of CM demo as well. Okay, because that JSON file was already added. Okay, so now we're going to have a break because I have been talking for an hour almost already. Do you have any questions before the break? No. Okay. So.
Okay. Hi.
Yes? Speak. Yeah.
I will. Okay, so I'm not sure why or what the issue. Why did you create a branch to do the changes in? Why didn't you make?
Okay,
the
so
main
if you
branch?
don't create a branch, if you work on the same main branch, then what can happen is that the original project progresses
Okay.
on the main branch, and you progressed on the main branch, and now you will have a problem of integrating the two.
Okay. Okay, but doesn't that occur? Because if I have a branch and then a week later I make another change, but if the main's gone ahead, but doesn't that just changing that situation?
No, because so you can happily work on your own branch. So the changes, okay, so the changes that are made on the main branch by the original author probably have nothing to do with your changes. So there's no conflict in the actual change. Just by the only conflict is that they are both futures of the same thing.
Okay. Okay, it kind of makes sense.
Okay,
Okay.
and it's not that it's unresolvable. Okay, it's resolvable even if you are working on the main branch, but it's much nicer when you are. Okay, so let me say a couple of things here. When you are contributing to some other project, the best practice or the easiest way to do is on a branch.
Okay.
If you are working together, two or more people on the same code base,
Yeah. Okay.
and
Yeah.
you both have commit rights and you can both work on the same repository together because you work in the same company or you just trust each other or whatever, then my recommendation is actually to never branch, to always use the main branch. Okay, and make sure that you make all the integration. Then it actually what will happen that you won't be able to. Well, we didn't talk about push and all these things. You won't be able to push out your changes if there are already changes made by other people. You will have to first integrate all those changes. Okay, and we'll talk about this later on. Right now, we are in a sort of special case when we are using only the GitHub UI. Okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
Other questions?
No.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing, stop recording, and then we'll have 10 minutes and then we continue. Okay. Okay, bye-bye.